extending to him our warmest congratulations for receiving the mandate of Kenyans to lead us as our 5th president. And so, Mr. President-elect, as you walk the path to your inauguration and beyond, you will be the president not just for those who voted for you, but for all Kenyans. In the prophetic words of our national anthem, we are summoned to purposefully dwell in unity, peace, and liberty, working hard and together so that plenty may be found within our borders. I therefore wish and pray for your success, as your success will be Kenya's success. I thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless this great Republic of Kenya. Asante sana.
The outgoing president of the Republic of Kenya, that is His Excellency and Uhuru Kenyatta, giving out his final words as, of course, he prepares to hand over the instruments of power to the incoming and the 5th president of Kenya, that is William Ruto, which will be happening much later on. And several East African leaders have actually confirmed that they will be in attendance for this very special happenings that will be in Kenya much later on today, and of course showing their support for the East African region. I must say that Kenyans must be quite in a congratulatory and happy mood for this Tuesday. Good morning, Uganda officially starts right now. My name is Philomena Mastiko. It is the second day of this week, the Tuesday and 13th of September 2022. I am with Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono, and Mollen, Kenyena. I don't know, Robert, do you feel as excited as the Kenyans, or are you halfway there like they already are doing? I saw the excitement being shown all over social media platforms.
For one thing, I don't understand. Kenyans, they have always had elections.
Yes.
But this particular election, I don't know why it took on a lot of Ugandans, including myself. I don't know how I felt so concerned. I remember even during that hearing, you know,
yes,
when we got in Citizen TV showings something else, that confusion that first came in, although we later, the Electoral Commission and governments told the media to stop doing that. So I felt, you know, I was somehow excited, and of course as a supporter of Ruto. Basically, why do I support him? I like his church background. Basically, that is why I say let's support this man, and also the youth, and I wanted to break that legacy of family and all that. But I must say I'm very excited. All is well that ends well, and I must congratulate our brothers and sisters in Kenya. They went through all the phases of an election. They had peaceful campaigns, that we must say, if we remember very well.
Yes.
Then they had a successful day of voting, casting their vote. Then the tarring also was done successfully after a long wait, but that is constitutional. Then now comes to the court thing. We were scared that maybe after the ruling, but they also managed that very well. And today they're finally putting the final nail, which is saying the outgoing president hand over power officially to the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya. Congratulations.
Congratulations indeed. Well, if you don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about the inauguration of the 5th president of Kenya, that is William Ruto, who is officially taking on the power of instruments today at Kasarani Stadium in Nairobi, Kenya. Well, Mollen, good morning. Uncle Bob said here, the excitement Ugandans have been having, and we have been ardent followers of this whole process right from the start, from the campaigns till today. Have you been part of it?
Yeah, a very good morning to you, Philomena and Robert. And of course, I want to extend a good morning to you, a viewer out there. Well, we want to join them in the excitement. We did that from the very beginning, at least for the peaceful elections that they did have. But we're also seeing a very, very fundamental thing in politics, with the outgoing president actually congratulating the incoming president, Ruto. And you see that peaceful transition, that is something that the whole of Africa is looking forward to. And it gives a good example, because we have seen a lot of governments where there. This is not done. And for me, that is where the excitement is. That is where you see the exercise of democracy in Kenya, and very, very proud of them. And you also look at the fact that actually President Ruto did also invite his running counterpart Raila Odinga, although he gave his reasons for not attending the inauguration, but he says it was a good sentiment for him to be invited. He did recognize that, and that is how you recognize a peaceful country, for sure. Yeah.
So he decides to tap out, but in a very peaceful format.
Yes, yes. And for me, that was admirable, because he did not go on and on, I can't attend and all that. He was like, yes, I thank him for the invitation. However, I won't be able to attend. And for me, that was a very, very gentleman thing for him to have done, especially looking at the campaign going around with keeping Kenya peaceful across this whole period. And for me, I respect that. Yeah.
Well, we are definitely excited to see what will be going down over there in our neighbors' country. But obviously, the details will be given them as Good Morning Uganda goes on, or you can get onto our social media platforms. We shall be updating you on all the happenings as the minutes flow by. But also, getting back here in Uganda, of course, things are still happening. I will tell you, Robert, the other day we did see a story where they were talking about having our KCCA law enforcers starting to have body cameras. Ideally, this is supposed to promote transparency in their operations as they go about, the city, to make sure that the cases where we've had people being manhandled, okay, we can actually rule them out clearly with clear evidence. What do you think about this?
When I heard that we've spent 470 million to secure 60 body cameras, and I think a system that is going to man them, I'm like, now what if we need 1,000? That is when I look at the money element of it. But also, you see, sometimes you have to look at how you train a person, not the yardsticks you put to cause him to comply or her. Because sometimes man is man. Man is man.
You can't help it.
Sometimes man is man.
I would really love to hear what Mollen has to say about this one.
Because Robert's concern is about the money, but my concern is about the security. If we have to inject that kind of money to get these security facilities, I say it's a good move, because look at the security situation that we have right now. Just yesterday we were getting statements from Parliament that the Speaker is being threatened, and police has to now go through her security details to see that, this is no longer a threat. We have security threats here and there. So I think body cams are really a go-to, because we are not the first country to take on that battle. Actually, we are far behind.
Yes.
So if it needs a certain amount of money to go that extra mile and have our security in such a standard, I say go for it, because we have spent money on other issues that really, even still, we get threatened in our security. So I say it's money well spent, and maybe there should be more systems actually to attract this kind of cause. I would say go for it.
Well, wait, because you see, in third world countries, if I may use that,
we are not third world, no.
No. You're still
the president says we are in middle income status.
We are middle income status right now.
Yeah.
You said the presidency. I'm just giving my opinion in third world countries, where I believe my country is actually. Third world countries, there's a very big difference between the vulnerable people and their ability to demand for their rights. I want to tell you, even without body cams or body cameras, there's so much that has been done with evidence. The issue is what has been done. There must be willingness. For example, look at what happened yesterday when this border guy, that nasty accident that involved the presidential convoy. When I was reading this morning through the amended Traffic Act of Uganda, it is very clear. The president, the vice president, the speaker, the deputy speaker, the chief justice, the deputy chief justice, and emergency vehicles. Those include police, fire brigade, ambulances, military vehicles with sirens. And for ambulances, they must be responding to a situation, are the only people that have right of way. But look at how many times the president has just passed. Then people want to, they want to, you just enter into that convoy because they know it's going to create way and they want to move on. Look, how many times have we seen, I don't know if you've had this thing that you knock a goat or someone's chicken in Kampala.
Yes.
And they tell you pay.
You have to pay because
pay my goat.
Yes.
But also
So,
there is laxity with Ugandans. I
Most
say
of the
some
times,
some
vulnerable
of
people demanding for their rights in this country has been a problem. And I don't see where a person will come, I've been manhandled, now here, now there. That is something we can debate, but for me, I believe there's still so much. Here, this is where you have a member of parliament coming late at a function, and everyone is over, and the electorate, they don't know that this is their servant. They have waited for 2 hours.
clearly there is a lot in parliament that also has to be attended to.
So
but
this
also
is the problem, that their capacity, even when they have all it takes, their right to hold power responsible, is so minimal. That's why I told you, for me, I looked at the money first.
Yes, Mollen, you are saying something.
Well, Robert does bring in a lot of details. It's hard to add to that. But away from Parliament, actually, there is a tendency of Ugandans not really caring. And yesterday we did have instances of flooding around Kampala.
Oh, yes.
And according to the news reports, is this border man was told not to cross the road when there was a lot of running water. However, against all advice, he did cross, and we lost him. And that just goes to show a lot of Ugandans that at this point you need to take the advisory, because we're going to continue with these rains and we're going to keep seeing this flash flooding, especially in city centers. Now, this is something not to take lightly, because the moment you cannot see down the road, it means that this water could actually, there could be a pothole down there. There could be, you know, we have seen manholes. All these things are dangerous when it is raining. It's better to take cover and wait for the rains to clear or the roads to clear so you can go through. It was really exactly, because guess what? Yeah, because guess what?
Yes.
This is how we are getting, we are losing people, and I think we saw these instances even way back, especially across, I think that was Ginger Road. We have continued to see these instances. So at this point, you just need to wait for the roads to clear up so you can go through, because we are going to have more of this flash flooding, especially in low-lying areas across Kampala. Brace yourselves. Yeah.
Absolutely, because we are yet to see these rains, and when the weather lady tells you that, you need to heed to the advice. Well, while we are still talking about that, just also to let you know that schools have continued to record quite a low turn-up of school-going children, especially for this third term during the first week, even till now, because parents have actually failed to meet up with the school fees payment. And as it is now, most schools are actually demanding 100% payment of school fees. Without that bank slip being fully paid, the child would not be allowed onto the school premises. Well, I can say the struggle is still going on, and I am hoping things try to get better as we go by. Well, a lot of stories are definitely around the news realm, and right about now we're going to be taking you through some of these local stories and of course elsewhere.
And we will begin with His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni and the First Lady sending their condolence message after the death of the Queen. That is President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and Minister of Education and Sports Janet Kataha Museveni paid tribute to the late Queen of United Kingdom Elizabeth Alexandria II at the residence of the British High Commissioner to Uganda, Her Excellency Kate Herring. Commissioners and of course members and officials at the embassy received the President and the wife. President Museveni and the wife signed the condolence book and extended sympathy to the family of the late Queen and British people on behalf of Ugandans. In his condolence message, President Museveni emphasized that Queen Elizabeth has for more than 70 years not only been the head of state for United Kingdom but also the head of the Commonwealth. President Museveni said that the use of English language in all Commonwealth countries is an asset that should be maximally used for the prosperity of the billion Commonwealth citizens through investment, trade, tourism, anti-terrorism, Among others, Minister of Education and Sports Honorable Kataha Museveni thanked God for blessing the late Queen with a productive life and saluted the Queen for serving selflessly in her homeland and entire family of the Commonwealth.
In another story, police with other security agencies have launched investigations into the assassination threats against the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among. Police spokesperson Fred Enanga says the Directorate of Crime Intelligence and the Office of the Speaker are working in hand to work with the parliamentary police to hasten vigilance around Parliament and the Speaker's movements. Last week, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, told Parliament that there are suspected assassins trailing her, and police and other security agencies have launched a special investigation file to substantiate assassination threats against the Speaker. The investigations are presumed protective without disclosing the progress. With security cameras mounted around Parliament premises, security has also reinforced vigilance around Parliament, and all roads around Parliament have security personnel. Now, the Counter-Terrorism Department of Police is scrutinizing the Speaker's bodyguards following rumors about her Chief of Security escape to the US. Meanwhile, security wants the chairperson of Buko District, Chelimo Julius, to answer allegations of aggravated defilement, and it has been established that Chelimo Julius has been defiling a 16-year-old student and was reported while attempting to traffic the girl to unknown location. In the ongoing investigations, police has found more 12 grounds of robbery and burglary linked to Kampala socialite Olim Charles, known as Sipapa, who was arrested last week.
And away from criminality, we now move to the people in Kasese and the flood impact, where 7th September this year will forever remain a dark day in the minds of residents of Kaseka village, Rukoki sub-county in Kasese district. On this fateful day, 16 people died when mudslides swept through homes in the middle of the night, taking downstream helpless lives, most of whom were children and women. The scene is still covered with huge and household property lost during the disaster. The family of Musei Masereka lost 4 members of his family in the disaster. Masereka narrowly escaped and is hospitalized at St. Mary's Hospital in Kasese municipality, nursing wounds he sustained as he pulled himself out of the mud. Masereka managed to save his life, although he lost other members in the household. Among them is the 6-year-old Kambeli Savilin. Residents still gather at the mudslide epicenter of Kasika Trading Center with the hope of locating the body of Salvini, but failed due to lack of proper machinery to remove the heavy debris. The ICT and National Guidance Minister, Dr. Chris Wadiomunsi, promised to work with UNRWA and relevant authorities to search for the missing body. Another resident, Wambare Semu, appealed to government to assist owners guard their vanilla gardens at this time when some have resorted to stealing vanilla.
Heading over to court, the Buganda Road Magistrates Court has acquitted Kawempe North Member of Parliament Mohamed Segelinya with charges of incitement to violence. Magistrate Gladys Kamusai, in dismissing this case against Segelinya, said prosecution failed to adduce evidence to court that the accused committed the said offences. Kawempe North Member of Parliament Mohamed Segelinya has appeared before at Buganda Road Magistrate Court before Magistrate Gladys Kamusai via video conferencing to receive a ruling on whether he has a case to answer on charges of incitement to violence against him. Unlike other proceedings, the accused legal team was not present in court. Prosecution presented 3 witnesses in this matter, and these include ASP Nsimenta Flavia, attached to Mini Price Police, Assistant ASP Nahamanya David, and Detective Corporal Elias Kadampola. And court, after perusing through the evidence from the 3 witnesses, found that the legislator Mohamed Segelinya had no case to answer. Magistrate Gladys Kamusai said the evidence presented to court cannot pin the accused to have committed the case, and court acquitted Mohamed Segilinya with the charge of incitement to violence. Relatives and friends of Segilinya were pleased with the ruling, and legislator Mohamed Segilinya was arrested on March 22, 2021 from Mini Price on allegation of staging a protest against the outcome of the 2021 presidential elections and the arrest of the NUP supporters during elections.
And elsewhere, starting off with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said his forces have recaptured 6,000 square kilometers of territory from Russia in a counter-offensive this month, marking Moscow's worst defeat in the near 7-month-old war. Since the start of September, our soldiers have already liberated 6,000 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory in the east and south, and we are moving further, Zelensky said in his daily address on Monday. Ukrainian troops made more gains on Monday, pushing all the way to the northeastern border in some places and claiming to have captured many Russian soldiers as part of a lightning advance that forced Moscow to make a hasty retreat. In some areas of the front, our defenders reached the state border with the Russian Federation, said Oleh Sinabov, governor of the northeastern Kharkiv region. A spokesperson for Ukrainian military intelligence said Russian troops were surrendering in masses as they understand the hopelessness of their situation. A Ukrainian presidential advisor said there were so many prisoners of war that the country was running out of space to accommodate them. Now, looking at the number of people trapped in forced labor or forced marriage and other crises has swelled by a fifth in recent years to about 50 million on any given day, the United Nations International Labour Organization did say on Monday. The study by the UN agencies for labor and migration, along with the Walk Free Foundation, found that at the end of last year, more than half of those had been forced to work against their will, and the rest are forced into marriage. That means nearly 1 of every 150 people in the world are caught up in modern forms of slavery, according to the report. Both came under its definition of modern slavery, as they involve people who cannot refuse or cannot leave because of threats, violence, deception, abuse of power, or other forms of coercion. The UN had set a goal to eradicate all forms of modern slavery by 2030, but the number of people caught up in forced labor or forced marriage ballooned by 10 million between 2016 and 2021, according to a new report. Well, back to Africa here, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has publicly congratulated President-elect William Ruto for the first time since his win in the 9th August election. In a speech outlining his administration's key successors, the outgoing president, who had backed veteran politician Raila Odinga to succeed him, said he would attend Tuesday's swearing-in ceremony. Last week, the Supreme Court dismissed several petitions that had challenged Mr. Ruto's win. Mr. Kenyatta urged his successor to serve all Kenyans irrespective of their political persuasions, saying that the country had undergone a consequential transformation during his tenure. Among the achievements he highlighted were strengthening the country's devolution system and the admission of the Democratic Republic of Congo into the East African community. The team tasked to oversee Tuesday's transition say preparations are now complete, with more than 20 heads of state invited to attend the ceremony.
And in a weather and climate news, the States of Climate in Africa 2021 report reveals temperatures, drought, extreme weather among 13 climate-related findings. Now, the World Meteorological Organization, WMO, provided 11 key messages from its findings in its recently released State of Climate in Africa 2021 report, indicating that the states of the climate in Africa highlighted water stress and hazards and said although climate action in Africa was gaining momentum, more is needed. The WMO said that the water stress and hazards like withering heat, droughts and devastating floods are hitting African communities, economies and ecosystems hard. Now, this report revealed that rainfall patterns are disrupted, glaciers are disappearing, and key lakes are shrinking. Rising water demand combined with limited and unprecedented supplies threatens to aggravate conflict and displacement. With temperatures, Africa is warned at an average rate of around 0.3 degrees Celsius per decade between 1991 and 2021, faster than the warming from 1961 to 1990 at 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade. This year, 2021, was either the third or the fourth warmest year on record for Africa, and sea level rise is increasing along the African coastlines at a higher rate than the global mean rate, especially along the Red Sea and the Southwest Indian Ocean, where the rate is close to 4 millimeters per year.
Well, considering that we earlier on catered on talking about the issue of body cameras, KCCA procuring about 60 of these cameras to make sure that they ensure transparency and making sure that they have evidence in case reports like this rise about brutality while they're trying to enforce the law. We want to hear from you. What do you think about this move? Do you think that it will do what ideally it's meant to do anyway, to create the transparency in their operations? Go on to our social media platforms and tell us what you think. Share your thoughts on the move by KCCA procurement of body cameras in creating transparency in their operations. But also in the meantime, Robert.
Very interesting this morning. I cannot forget that I have Hallelujah banana juice. Now this is so sweet. Those that remember that juice or mubisi, well, this is something that will give you that feeling. Most of mubisi.
Okay.
Traditionally, if you went how they prepare it, they had something similar to this canoe. Someone is using their feet.
If only I could tell you what we call that in my mother tongue, but that will be for another day.
Then some, of course, use their hands, but I'm told that is very sweet, the one done with one's feet. Then, so it has some bit of that, and of course the molondo is there, so you can't afford to miss this. Then, Hallelujah, Jinga tea. This does very well if you have throat problems and all that. The Jinga there will do you very, very great, I can guarantee you. Just 1,500, but of course Mollen has something for you as well.
Well, I am holding Hallelujah tamarind fruit drink, and this is also one of those products from Hallelujah Reflexology. And of course, for it, you do look at the fact that it does boost your immune system. Of course, now it's rare to find the tamarind pulps on the market, but Hallelujah has put this for you into this drink, and of course you can go for it. We also have Jinga in there, and at the time where you're looking at mostly cold weather, you're bound to have throat issues or cough issues, but this is a drink that you can have on a daily, and make sure that you're ready when such diseases come. They will just pass for you as long as you're taking most of these products on a daily. And Robert has always recommended to take at least 2 bottles in a day, and I would recommend the same this morning.
I just want to ask, is there anything such as overdosing when it comes to that Hallelujah super drink?
No.
There is nothing like
overdosing. And the good thing is they are non-alcoholic, so you're not scared that you'll get drunk and misbehave. You know, booze is uncontrollable sometimes.
Okay.
They'll always be like, let me just take one for the road. One until one becomes
multiplies and then it becomes something else.
So with this one, you just take to your satisfaction.
Yes.
If you feel like, okay, I think I need more, you just keep taking. But yeah.
Anyway, we're going for a short break, and of course the inspiration song, the Good Morning Uganda Israel, will be in right after that, and we'll be talking about the topic at hand, KCCA procuring body cameras for its law enforcement or enforcers to make sure that they create transparency while implementing this. Good Morning Uganda will return shortly after the break. prepares to hand over the instruments of power to the incoming and the fifth president of Kenya, that is William Ruto, which will be happening much later on. And several East African leaders have actually confirmed that they will be in attendance for this very special happenings that will be in Kenya much later on today, and of course showing their support for the East African region. I must say that Kenyans must be quite in a congratulatory and happy mood for this Tuesday. Good morning, Uganda officially starts right now. My name is Philomena Mastiko. It is the second day of this week, the Tuesday and 13th of September 2022. I am with Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono, and Mollen, Kenyena. I don't know, Robert, do you feel as excited as the Kenyans, or are you halfway there like they already are doing? I saw the excitement being shown all over social media platforms.
For one thing, I don't understand. Kenyans, they have always had elections.
Yes.
But this particular election, I don't know why it took on a lot of Ugandans, including myself. I don't know how I felt so concerned. I remember even during that hearing, you know,
yes,
when we got in Citizen TV showings something else, that confusion that first came in, although we later, the Electoral Commission and governments told the media to stop doing that. So I felt, you know, I was somehow excited, and of course as a supporter of Ruto, basically why do I support him? I like his church background. Basically that is why I say let's support this man, and also the youth, and I wanted to break that legacy of family and all that. But I must say I'm very excited. All is well that ends well, and I must congratulate our brothers and sisters in Kenya. They went through all the phases of an election. They had peaceful campaigns, that we must say, if we remember very well.
Yes.
Then they had a successful day of voting, casting their vote. Then the tarring also was done successfully after a long wait, but that is constitutional. Then now comes to the court thing. We were scared that maybe after the ruling, but they also managed that very well. And today they're finally putting the final nail, which is seeing the outgoing president hand over power officially to the fifth president of the Republic of Kenya. Congratulations.
Congratulations indeed. Well, if you don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about the inauguration of the fifth president of Kenya, that is William Ruto, who is officially taking on the power of instruments today at Kasarani Stadium in Nairobi, Kenya. Well, Mollen, good morning. Uncle Bob said here, the excitement Ugandans have been having, and we have been ardent followers of this whole process right from the start, from the campaigns till today. Have you been part of it?
Yeah, a very good morning to you, Philomena and Robert. And of course, I want to extend a good morning to you, a viewer out there. Well, we want to join them in the excitement. We did that from the very beginning, at least for the peaceful elections that they did have. But we're also seeing a very, very fundamental thing in politics, with the outgoing president actually congratulating the incoming president, Ruto. And you see that peaceful transition, that is something that the whole of Africa is looking forward to. And it gives a good example, because we have seen a lot of governments where this is not done. And for me, that is where the excitement is. That is where you see the exercise of democracy in Kenya, and very, very proud of them. And you also look at the fact that actually President Ruto did also invite his running counterpart Raila Odinga, although he gave his reasons for not attending the inauguration, but he says it was a good sentiment for him to be invited. He did recognize that, and that is how you recognize a peaceful country, for sure. Yeah.
So he decides to tap out, but in a very peaceful format.
Yes, yes. And for me, that was admirable, because he did not go on and on, I can't attend and all that. He was like, yes, I thank him for the invitation. However, I won't be able to attend. And for me, that was a very, very gentleman thing for him to have done, especially looking at the campaign going around with keeping Kenya peaceful across this whole period. And for me, I respect that. Yeah.
Well, we are definitely excited to see what will be going down over there in our neighbors' country. But obviously the details will be giving them as Good Morning Uganda goes on, or you can get onto our social media platforms. We shall be updating you on all the happenings as the minutes flow by. But also getting back here in Uganda, of course, things are still happening. I will tell you, Robert, the other day we did see a story where they were talking about having our KCCA law enforcers starting to wear body cameras.
Get the MTN cupboard super easy.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show, because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Ooh, they look nice.
Thank you, honey.
Yo!
You guys gather, it's going down.
Gather! Gather! Yo!
I tell you what.
Airtel is giving you bigger data bundles for the same price. Dial star 175 hash to choose from our range of bigger Chillax bundles that don't expire. Bigger monthly bundles, all for the same price, and stay connected longer to loved ones. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Happiness comes to us in many places. It's in knowing the mosquito net keeps our children healthy. The wife having the support of her husband. It's in deciding together when to have a baby. And for some, focusing on what's important right now. So what's your happiness? Make the right health decisions to ensure happiness for you and your family.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Seven minutes after the hour of 7 a.m. here on Good Morning Uganda, you're watching UBC TV. My name is Philomena and I am with Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono. This morning, we want to focus our attention on the new move that is going to be taken up by Kampala Capital City Authority of having body cameras placed on their law enforcers, especially while they're in the field operating, trying to make sure that people do the right thing. And ideally, their motive right here is to make sure that they create accountability while with these cameras, but also to create transparency in their operations. Now, why this? Because over the years, we have had reports coming, especially from the vendors who seem to be the biggest number of victims, especially when it comes again to KCCA while trying to enforce laws, trying to make sure that they get these vendors off the streets, to make sure that the streets are clear. We've had reports coming from victims saying that these people are actually very brutal and they've lost their merchandise. Some of them have lost their lives. Others have, they've acquired harm on their body, physical harm. And I mean, the reports are endless. Now, this is again going to be directing us to our poll question, where we do ask Okay, we want to hear from you. We want you to tell us what you think about this move. Do you think it will be quite effective in creating the transparency they seek, the accountability that they seek? Get onto our social media, Twitter to be very specific. The hashtag is GMU, and share your 2 cents with us. Of course, as we go on with the discussion, myself and Robert here will be getting into those comments. But to continue with the topic at hand, Robert, now the most updates on this very strategy. We know that KCCA has already procured about 60 body cameras. Now, of course, we are not certain of the number of the officials they have, the people who enforce this, but at least we know right now, as we speak, they do have a procurement of 60 cameras, and they did, I think, spend about 470 million Ugandan shillings. But seeing the history of all these brutalities, you know, the disagreements that have been happening between the victims and KCC officials, do you think these body cameras will actually help in trying to bring this issue to bed?
Very interesting. And when I was watching Engineer David Luyimbazi, that is the Deputy ED, Kampala Capital State Authority,
yes,
and later Dorothy Chisaka, the ED, saying we've taken them through training. We would have wanted to purchase more of these cameras, but this is what we could have due to financial constraints. One thing, I'll begin with our experience as a journalist. I want to tell you, my first beating in this profession was because of a camera.
Yes.
So, I know the impact of a camera. I remember that day, I think Kizabesje was returning from somewhere. We had just had elections around Chibuye. So I'm with my friend who was called Bule, cameraman, I'm the reporter there. So I get a camera, and there was some incident that was happening. I pan to get activities that were being carried out by security. Oh, the camera was confiscated, but I also sustained some injuries. Yes. So I knew that people, when they are carrying out certain activities that maybe they find abusive, they don't want to be captured on camera.
Because, I mean, proof will be available.
Managers will tell you they have beaten them because they have seen them trying to film certain incident. It has not only ended in getting that camera. And this does not only apply to security agencies. You go when there is a land eviction. You go when there is a show. When anything and a person gets to know that what they are doing, you're capturing it on camera. Usually you may get a beating. Even some entertainment places, there are some celebrities that have beaten people. Remember, there is one TV personality who had gone off to some shopping mall and what? And this young man was filming because she's a, you know, TV personality, she's here, she's there. And she ran us, why are you filming me, you know? If I'm in, or we know, trying to, why would you film me? If you get my, I know Philo, you would react. So, because it exposes, and there's a lot of evidence, one, this can deter people from committing certain offenses. For example, if an officer, let's say enforcement officer, knows that I have a camera on me, whatever I'm going to do is going to be captured. So they may restrain themselves from doing that because they don't want visual and audio, because it captures both sound and image, being produced. There you don't have so much defense. The only defense therefore where my worry is would be, because I've seen this happen, would be, are the authorities or the superiors willing to hold that person accountable? Still, as a journalist, have witnessed this. You know, my days of being a reporter were very interesting. I was so much in covering crime and all that. I've seen, even where there is enough visual evidence to hold people accountable, some institutions are not willing to bring their own.
They will maybe turn a blind eye to the evidence that is readily available.
Or justify the action.
Yes.
They would say, well, these are enforcement officers. To make this for subdue. You know, there is what we call a reasonable force. I don't know if you've heard of that word. That enforcement officer must apply that force that is enough to make you subdue or surrender. And that force has no proper measurement. Philo, I could say that in order to arrest you, Philo, maybe I had to give you 5 slaps so that the resistance you are showing, you stop it. And they would say, Philo was rowdy, she had become what? And yet she had to be arrested. So Robert had to use that force. There is no standard I challenge any lawyer or any advocate in this country called Uganda who has a measurement of reasonable force. Neither is it in our law books. That word remained clear. It is at the mercy of the person and of course those above that deem it fitting or not for reasonable force. So it is not a guarantee that because officer is going to have a camera on, therefore they may not manhandle. These are coercive forces. The word force is not a word like, what should I call it? These are not counselors, you know?
Yes.
That you have problems, you go to. These are not midwives that they're helping you give birth. This is KCCA enforcement. By virtue of the word enforcement, therefore means that where need be, they can apply force. And with that element, I find it very hard unless KCCA is willing to hold these people accountable and not protect them. Because even with what is happening today, there are cases. There are people that have come up and said, we were manhandled. This is evidence. Let me tell you, there was a woman who was, I think, having mangoes, and she was being chased. Then she fell into one and she died. And a number of people have happened. Can KCCA first bring a list of action they have taken against the security officers? Can they tell us that they have not had, we remember the COVID time when they are getting vendors off the road and all that. Can they produce a list that these are the people that we've taken action against, even without these cameras?
Well, Robert, you talk about institutions sometimes intentionally ignoring some of the evidence. According to what the ED of KCCA, that is Dorothy Chisaka, was talking about, especially in regards to these body cameras, okay, she was saying that the legal department of KCCA is going to actually be using these cameras to be able to collect evidence during the investigations and also be able to use it to defend its actions, of course, when the time is due. But are we saying, could you be saying that maybe at one point this may not even come to pass, like you did say, some institutions ignoring the evidence, of course, in the name of protecting their enforcement team?
One, I was listening to Engineer Uyimba's, I think it was yesterday night. He said, these are also going to protect our officers in a way that we'll be able to know what exactly happened. Now, where there is a will, there is a way. And I want to challenge KCCA. Even without these cameras, haven't we seen incidents that when you investigate them, you can hold people accountable without cameras? Haven't we? Does our police, when they are carrying out any other investigation that is needed, have done investigative journalism, even without anything? But you can speak to people that were there. And with these days, everything that happens, media, with the social media, how many clips have you seen on social media, people watching this morning show? How many clips have you seen of abusive KCCA officers manhandling people, abusing their rights, and what action has been taken? Or isn't this audio and video documented? When have we been invited for a press conference? When have we come up and said, because of this video, I'll give you an example what police is doing today. It follows up on these videos. You saw this young lady who was torturing a minor, her own child, the mother of 3. Recently, she was paraded before court. You know this recent incident?
Yes.
Police has so often picked up on videos on social media that violate human rights, that, you know, when there is public concern, and has acted. I've seen so many regarding enforcement officers. How many of these has KCA reacted upon? So, we must not only look for ways of saying we are taking action, I saw they're also going to get a new uniform. As part of this
yes, part of the, yes.
They once had a yellow, like the beautiful top you're putting on this morning. They once had it. Now they went to blue and black. Change of uniform doesn't change character. If I put on this suit today from Italy, and tomorrow I put on one from France or whatever, it doesn't change who I am.
Yes.
Let's look at training, you know. But above all, I remember one time His Excellency said that most of the times we are recruiting people based on qualification. But we need to recruit people based on integrity as well.
Well, we'll be talking about that shortly, but also to let you know what is happening in Kenya right now. We know that today is quite a very special day. We know that William Ruto is going to be officially inaugurated as the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya, and we also know that quite a number of heads of state are expected to be in attendance of this very special event. As you can see, we're seeing the warm-ups, we're seeing the change of guard taking place right now in Kenya at Kasarani Stadium down there in Nairobi. I must say that Uhuru, you did listen to Uhuru earlier on in his speech saying that he was going to be in attendance, as opposed to what actually very many people thought, considering that he was a great support for Raila Odinga, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it. But he's going to be in attendance because, I mean, he has to officially hand over the instruments of power. So today we'll be seeing quite a number of changes in Kenya over there, and here on UBC we'll be giving you the updates from KBC for you to let you know, to let you know what is going on over there during the course of this event. So make sure you do stick around with us.
Very interesting when you see what is happening in Kenya. You know,
yes.
Maturity in terms of democracy.
Oh, yes.
I have loved Uhuru Kenyatta because one time I thought America had a very civilized democracy and all of them would be understanding. But Donald Trump never turned up. Just boarded and went to his country home.
Well, at least we know that this is a different story over here in Kenya, and I love the fact that Kenya has decided to, take over this mantle and show us leading by example. Well, we'll be giving you the details as we go on, but also to remind you of our poll question that is running, where we actually expect you to tell us or to share your thoughts on the move by KCCA procurement of body cameras in creating transparency in their operations. Share your thoughts on the move by KCCA procurement of body cameras in creating transparency in their operations. Well, before we went in for this short interlude, Robert, we were talking about how His Excellency at one point was saying that we need to get people, we need to have professionals do their jobs, execute their jobs with integrity. Now, bringing in cameras right now, I mean, it could be showing two different pictures, either maybe because they don't trust the actions that are being carried by the law enforcers, or maybe it's just a top up on whatever they're doing. We're trying to also ensure that there is clear transparency in the operations. But to get back to that, would you actually say that these body cameras definitely are a sign of taking away the fact that maybe the people who enforce the KCCA team is actually not trained enough? Could we say they've had enough training or not? And maybe because of all the complaints stuff coming, because the argument from the victims especially would be like, you're not training your officials, okay, your team, your enforcers, that they're doing the right thing but in the wrong way. So can we talk about the training? Do we say KCCA has done enough training even before the issue of the cameras came in? Do you think this team has had enough training on how to execute their job? Because if you're handling people, I believe there is a certain type of way you're supposed to do that. These are stubborn people, but also these are people who are trying to fend for families and look for money. Do you think KCCA has done enough when it comes to training their enforcers?
Well, I don't know the composition of their training. What am I saying? The various disciplines they train them in. Most of the times when I'm passing by, I just hear them shout Swahili. When I go hold these funny
yes.
guns, watch out, alert, whatever. So it's more like I kind of trying to do some either, I did chaka while in school. It was compulsory, where I went for that is senior secondary school. You come in senior one, a whole year, every morning there's chaka. But I see them doing the drills we did those days, and I'm like, okay, the enforcement officers. But you see, this training should have an element, like when you go to police today, much as you learn the gun and all that, there is some training that brings you how to handle people. Remember when we had the LDUs?
Yes.
Who are recalled and taken back. And when they were taken back, the training they took them on, because of our time of enforcing COVID-19 regulations and all that, was how to be more humane. You know, so I don't know if that training, but good, I had the deputy ED saying they're going to give them more training. But you see, the problem with my country sometimes is we leave simple solutions and go for the hard ones. Maybe because there's an element of procurement and people are going to get money. You know, I love being honest. When you hear of the 470 million spent on 60 cameras, of course they say there's a system they have to purchase and all that.
And yes, they did say they are going to have also a surveillance system.
And all that. Whenever you hear any element of money, you know, it is quick to adopt anything that requires procurement in my country. Our incentive, you talk, even if you brought 5 solutions, but one that has an element of procurement, I guarantee you that one that has an element of procurement will see the light of day before others. Because there are simple things. One of the things I call simple in solving such a problem is not spending the taxpayers' money buying these cameras, much as they could do to some extent. Is not having a new uniform. Is not having new training. Is having tough measures on whoever is gotten. Deterrence. You get it? If KCCA was properly punishing or using or being accountable to these officers, my sister Philo, when one would wear that uniform and know that should I be gotten in corruption, should I be gotten manhandling, because I told you even where there are no cameras, investigations can be done, or even with cameras and proof what action have they taken. I want to tell you no officer would manhandle. Briefly, I want to take you back. I wasn't there, but I'm told that before the NRA disciplined army we have today, Philo, previous armies, how would a colonel sit in a taxi and pay? You know, why would they pay? They would go to a butcher and get meat. They would do anything. They would do anything.
Yes.
They would kill people in any way they want. But the government under the leadership of President Kaguta Museveni, today a soldier knows, if you've heard, a soldier shoots you, they shoot themselves. You get it?
Yes.
Because they know.
They don't want to be held accountable. Yes.
What is going to happen? You're going to suffer. You're going to be, you may even be hanged. It is death. So a soldier knows. You go and you go to a butcher and then you say, give me 5 kilos of meat. You're a soldier in UPDF uniform and you move away. And then I was in a pharmacy, this guy comes, I just told the guy, give him all the drugs, I'll pay. You get it? So, because UPDF set a standard that any soldier knows there is trouble awaiting you. So if KCCA had followed this, and enforcement officers know. But to me, I don't know why we leave simple solutions and go for the hard and expensive solutions. Just have a proper channel of disciplining people. Just like in homes. There are homes where children know that even if you're 20 but you're still in this home, 8 you must be home. And they'll be there. There are those that know anytime you come back, they'll open for you. And they'll still open for them. So, these are practical. We don't have to go to this extent.
Yes.
That is even why we have corruption. That a person will steal today 500 million, the other time he will go to a billion, the other time he will go. And you see courts that deterrence. And me, I believe in that level. I even believe in sacrifice.
Yes.
That, yes, you are on, you've committed an offense. It is going to be very painful, but we shall sacrifice you to send a message to the rest. And I guarantee you, you won't spend on body cameras. You will see very humble enforcement officers.
Well, so we are expecting at least the number to reduce, the number of complaints. At least I do have hope in this one.
But also, you know, one of the things we forget, Philo, is who are the people that have to complain.
Yes.
I've seen two things in this country, still very interesting. You find someone at a police station begging, Naraba ku DPC. This is a public servant, supposed to serve these people. How will a vendor that has been manhandled come to that place you see that I've come to report an enforcement officer? We look at the vulnerable people. You go to these hospitals, government drugs, people are paid, and the patients are patient. Patients are almost kneeling down or crawling for these doctors. Because people are the vulnerable, we've not empowered them to hold people accountable. Vendors have been, their things have been eaten, they have been beaten, they have been what?
Well,
and they're so vulnerable.
The topic at hand is KCCA buying body cameras for their enforcement team. Now, according to the ED of KCCA, she says, this will at least help bring accountability, and will also have enough evidence for the legal team of KCCA, and maybe also help them defend their actions. She believes that yes, in most cases, we've had all these reports coming about brutality and all that, but also sometimes the KCCA people are actually doing the right thing, and we're not seeing that. So she believes this, among many others, will be one of the benefits of the body cameras. Well, it's still going down in Nairobi, where we are having the preparations are already fully done, and the inauguration is underway, at least the pre-stage of the inauguration. That is at Kasarani Stadium in Nairobi, where we will be having the inauguration, or the official handover of President William Ruto, right from the outgoing president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta. He will be over here trying to give his speech. Of course, after the handover has been made, he'll be addressing his people and telling them what they should be expecting. As you can see, Kenyans are quite in an anticipatory mode.
I'm seeing a yellow.
Well, I don't think this is I don't think there is any affiliation of the colors what is going on, but at least I must say that Kenyans, the turn-up is actually very great. Yes. They're ready as early as 7:30. You can see that the crowds are getting bigger by the minute, and of course, as they go by, you should be expecting new people or more people coming in to be in attendance of this memorable day. Remember, President-elect, that is William Ruto, is going to be the 5th president after, beating Raila Odinga, who was the major opponent. I would really want to know also if the other contenders that took part in the elections will be present, but at least I know for sure
Professor
George Wajakoya, he could be in attendance.
But that is the man who said whether who, the election.
At the end of the day, they're just looking at the democracy in the country, and also trying to do what's good, or do what's quite developmental for the country. What happened, and now it's time to actually move on. Well, here at UBC TV, we'll be giving you the updates, so make sure you do stick around with us. And also, our poll question is still out there on our Twitter. Go on and engage by sharing your thoughts on the move by KCCA to procure body cameras for the transparency of their operations. UBCGM use the hashtag 0709 602 592 is the WhatsApp number. You could also use the same one to send us a text message. Well, that's it from this morning's GMU Newsreel. When we get back, the big stories in the papers, that is in the press review, and the weather updates plus some traffic updates are queued up for you right after this.
Stay connected on the largest 4G network in Uganda using the Airtel 4G Pocket MiFi at only 75,000 Uganda shillings. It comes with 15 GBs free, valid for a month. You can connect up to 10 of your friends and family at a go. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get one today, or call 0800 333 330 for free delivery within Kampala. Dial *175 *9# to activate free 15 GBs. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Happiness comes to us in many places. It's in knowing the mosquito net keeps our children healthy. The wife having the support of her husband. It's in deciding together when to have a baby. And for some, focusing on what's important right now. So what's your happiness? Make the right health decisions to ensure happiness for you and your family.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, in the press review this morning, we start off with the Daily Monitor and looking at the huge budget shortfall cripples government services. And we see that whereas the Treasury in July claimed that it released less money in the first quarter of the 2022-2023 financial year in order to reduce liquidity and suppress inflation, Finance Ministry last evening attributed the shortfall to what was available in the kitty. King Oyo celebrates 27 years on throne, quite a milestone, I must say. King Oyo Nyimba Kabamba Iguru Rukidi, the fourth during the 27th coronation anniversary. The picture over there showing him and his kinsman. Queen Elizabeth shift from empire to Commonwealth, and they're giving you the full story on that as well. Now, how districts blew the parish development model money on workshops. Yikes. Now, in more news, police probe Anita death threat and new measles vaccination plan, plus the chief administrative officer arrested over ghost school. All these, make sure that you grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor to get a hint or to get the stories in full detail to make sure that you are in the know. But also taking you today in history, Ankole Princess gets married. The year was 1963. And also Israel-Palestine peace accord signed. The year was 1993.
And in the New Vision for this morning, Queen Elizabeth, Scotland holds the first funeral service. They show you pictures right there of King Charles III with other royal members while they were walking past the coffin of Queen Elizabeth II inside St. Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. And of course, the big story right there, full list of new appointments. Inside that is over 1,000 teachers, lecturers appointed. The story is on page 2, 5, 8, and 9 of the New Vision for this morning. The big picture right there, they show you President Museveni pays tribute to Queen Elizabeth. That is President Yoweri Museveni writing in the condolence book, accompanied by the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, as they paid tribute to the Queen at the British High Commissioner's residence in Nakasero yesterday. Well, also in the New Vision, police says Sipapa has been linked to 12 other crime scenes. That is a detailed story on page 12 of the New Vision, as well as King Oyo's 27th coronation, the King of Toro Oyo Nyimba Kabamba Iguru, right there as he celebrated his 27th anniversary. That is a detailed story on page 11. But also in foreign news, Museveni and 16 presidents for Ruto a fate. That is, of course, detailed on page 4 of the New Vision for this morning. Now, crossing over to the second page, they give you a detailed story of government confirming over 1,000 teachers and tutors. A full list is over there for you from the New Vision.
Now, the Daily Monitor Sports section today gives you a full story on how Oilers are in familiar playoffs territory. And record 7-time champions Oilers have never lost a playoff series and made a strong note of that fact for all to see by putting down UCU in Game 1 of the semi-finals. Home fans spar Acholi in Fufadram and switching to Champions League. Can Klopp lift his head again? Troubled Liverpool desperate to rediscover form as they host Ajax in the Champions League tonight. So catch that and many stories and on how Villa is far from competing for title. Again, this is of course in terms of the Uganda Premier League.
And in the New Vision Sport, bring the Pal Larry to Gomba. Well, that is after successful hosting of the Mosaic Autocross Championship in Bukandura Gomba district last month. Kabenge, who is the motorsport track and champ, targets the Pearl of Africa, Uganda Larry, next year to also be in the same area. Now they give you details of what we could be looking at with Kabenge's Bokanda's facility that should get a chance to stage a section of the prestigious Pearl of Africa Larry next year. Quite a big ground right there. Well, in the New Vision as well, you're free to serve 2 masters jointly. That is according to the National Council of Sports that have come out to clarify that any sports administrator in Uganda is eligible to have more than a maximum of 2 national sports associations, and there is no law that bars anyone from participating in 2 associations at the same time. That is a good story right there for you in the New Vision Sport, but also inside the New Vision Sport, all weekend sport results. They're giving you all the results right there, as well as more stories, of course, on the scoreboard, all the series for you, and of course, we'll also be having more of those details in the GMU Sports, where Ruben will be here to take you through most of that.
Switching to the Daily Nation this morning, of course, they are all about what is happening over there at Kasarani Stadium. And we're looking at Ruto, the man. A special inauguration coverage from the cattle fields of Segoi to the lush gardens of State House. This is the William Ruto story. Well, you go make yourself happy with whatever is happening there. And also just a reminder that the inauguration is taking place today at the Kasarani Stadium right there in Nairobi, Kenya. So the details will be coming in. We'll be giving you quite a live coverage right in UBC TV to add on the info that you'll pick from the Daily Nation this morning. So do brace yourself. It's going to be quite a Kenyan day, even here in Uganda. But also taking you to our poll question, where we did ask you to share your thoughts on the move by KCCA to procure body cameras for the transparency of their operations. We do have some feedback that came in from you. Noble, you're saying it's a great move if it's in respect to great service delivery, not forgetting public service needs no mercy as well. We also do have Iraq Oscar, who is saying if this will help clamp down on rogue employees, then I believe it is the right move for now. Well, go on and tell us what you think. The hashtag is UBCGMU. You can send us a WhatsApp message on 0709 602 592 and let us know what you think about that. But also one thing you need to know about is the traffic on our roads right here in Kampala, and I want to focus on some parts of Makindye division this morning where the traffic is actually quite very heavy, especially when it comes to some of these roads. We do have Mbogo Road, we have Mukwano Road in here, the parts around Kabalagala, Chibuli as you're headed towards the city center. I must say that if this is your daily routes, I could probably advise you to start looking for plan B, especially if you're exiting your home and getting onto these roads to get to town. But coming in from Muyenga Road here, as you're trying to connect, the traffic is already heavy on several spots of this road. Over here we do have the traffic that has already intensified. We do see the traffic also building up on this very part, and as you go on, Bogo Road is not any safe from the traffic as well. The traffic, matter of fact, has actually already intensified, meaning that you could be, burning some fuel over here as you're trying to make sure you wait in queue or in line as it tries to make its way to disperse. Now for other parts like Muyenga Road, again, I could say that the traffic is not also any different. It's actually very heavy. We have already seen cars that have been getting to this point or this junction trying to make their way to town. So yes, do expect that. Moving on to Zambia Estate Road, over here the traffic is very, very heavy. I could say this road, mainly connecting from Gaba Road all the way, the traffic starts building up and it transitions into becoming quite heavy. The oranges are quite evident of that, and the reds as well are dominant on these very same roads. So if again this is your usual route, I must advise that maybe you need to start looking for plan B. Gaba Road, as you go ahead, it becomes busier by the minute. We do have traffic on this very spot, and as you continue trying to find your way, I could say that you're not going to survive it. And Zambia Road, again here the traffic is very, very heavy. The road, matter of fact, is quite busy as you're stretching it all the way trying to join Mukwano Road. All the way here we see that the traffic is spreading again by these oranges here that show that it's starting to build up. So in a minute now you could find a very heavy traffic over there as you're trying to join, of course, Access Road, which eventually puts you into the main road, that is Kampala Ginger Road. And the other side from Bogo Road, and Bogo Road is also not any different from some of the roads we've seen like Gaba. The traffic is already crazy over here as it has already transitioned into red, I could say that. Namongo Road, again, it's very busy this morning compared to most of the mornings we have seen. Main access road here is actually quite a no-go area, I must advise. Namongo Road, again, the spots are quite dotted, so yes, do expect the traffic as you're headed towards the 8th Street. This one is a dead road, I must say, as indicated by the maps over here. Looking at the 7th Street, well, it's not any different from 8th Street because the traffic has already dominated this one here. 6th Street, on the other hand, is quite a route that you could navigate. The green are dominating, so meaning that there is no traffic at this very specific moment. And as you're joining Access Road that connects you to the main road, you can see that the cars have already taken over the spot. So yes, the traffic is there, so do be very careful while you're trying to make your way around there. Station Road, which could be a detour to get onto Kampala Road, is quite very free this morning. You could use this as opposed to joining the main road and eventually get to join Kampala Road. Kampala Road, on the other hand, when you are entering the city using this road, you will be meeting some traffic as indicated by the arrows. And if you're exiting if you're exiting town using this same route, the arrows are quite very efficient in clearing and indicating that you won't be facing any traffic. So I could say the traffic is a bit one way on this very specific road as you're getting into Kampala city center. Well, coming in from areas of Makindia Division and all the other surrounding places, I must say that your roads are quite very busy this morning, and like we did warn at the start of the show, the rains are quite intense and there are some roads that are really not doing quite well. We do have some manholes over there, we do have some potholes, so be very careful to make sure you don't fall victim of the floods, of the rains, and of some of the bad structures that we are seeing on our roads. Well, that's it from the traffic updates this morning. I will now leave you to Mollen, but also just to remind you, we will be airing the live, the live of what is happening in Kenya. So make sure that you catch the wind on what's going on there at the inauguration of the 5th president, that is President-elect William Ruto. So do not miss out on all those details. You can use our social media. You can also watch UBC TV to be part of it virtually. Well, I am Philomena Mastiko. I want to wish you a great and wonderful Tuesday morning.
Well, thank you very much, Philomena, and I'll take it from that. We want to look at the weather situation, and of course, lately we have been talking about extreme weather events much more than we're used to, and of course that is also related to the fact that we have kick-started our rainy season for the month of September. That will go all the way through October, November, and into December, when we do expect rains to reduce. But in the meantime, we continue to see a lot of these events, especially flash flooding, that are a result of heavy storms. And of course, one for yesterday was an unfortunate event where we lost a border rider through the floods within Kampala. And of course, this continues to be on the warnings, or even KCCA. We did see there are a lot of warnings that are coming in from KCCA, and they have already named the dangerous spots in Kampala, and some of those that actually people should be aware of. And one of the areas that were named is the Clock Tower near Queensway. That is an area to be really conscious about when it is raining. Meat Packers and Port Bell, and other areas that have also been named by KCCA include Mukwano area, that is near Chibuli Police Barracks, and of course most of those areas in Chitintale, around areas near Rugogo Mall and Kansanga Gaba Road right there. Those are areas that you should be looking out for. And of course, KCA also did mention that the floods to poor waste management, encroachment on wetlands, and water draining corridors could be actually one of those that are contributing to the continued flash flooding within the city center. But also still we need to urge KCA as well to make sure that there is enough clearing when it comes to the drainage systems across Kampala, because look at most of this water that gets trapped within the city center after the rains is because it's not being drained. Not to mention that the encroachment on those wetlands, because those are water catchment areas. All the waters that should be running off from the city center towards such catchment areas, those have been encroached on, which is why we continue to see most of these. And of course, we do know that at this point, it just will take government and authorities to actually make sure that most of these events are gotten rid of. Otherwise, we could be in for a very, very devastating situation, because the rains have only just begun. But also looking more into what is happening across the world. Now, yesterday, the World Meteorological Organization did issue out the report that is the status of climate in Africa. And what is being highlighted is that most of the communities in Africa are still vulnerable to extreme weather events. They did highlight the fact that we have had temperatures rising per decade for plus 0.3 degrees Celsius. Now, this is not something that was happening before. The last decades, they highlighted up to the 1960s, was only to a 0.2 degrees Celsius rise. But now we're seeing that we have more of the temperatures rising, and of course that poses a question of how far we're doing in terms of climate action, because yes, we know that we have not been contributing a lot to climate change. However, the vulnerability is much more to our side. You look at the fact that we've had a lot of drought stress across areas like Somalia. They are still battling that across Ethiopia, and most of the African countries are actually dealing with extreme weather events. You look at the fact that we're also having flooding and landslides landslides across the country. Just recently, we had an event in Kasese, Bulambuli. We did have a lot of flooding in Mbale that did take away a lot of lives and destruction of property. Now, these are all the events that this State of Africa Climate Report is highlighting right from 2021, and it is evident even moving into this year, we could be looking at one of the top 5 warmest years on record, according to what the report is highlighting, and of course the projections that also did come up earlier, that is from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Now, also crossing over, we have seen a lot of extreme weather events, and of course the recent one is the heat wave across California. And of course what was highlighted in that heat wave is that also wildfires were involved. Now, this has crossed over into Canada, and of course we're talking about Canada's westmost province, that is British Columbia, prompting air quality warning and evacuation orders that were done yesterday. Now, so far we do know that there has been evacuation over the camp housing workers for the mountain oil pipeline, where these wildfires are expected to actually continue. And of course there has been over 193 active wildfires currently burning in British Columbia, that is across the northwest part of Canada. And of course this has forced over 1,000 people to leave their homes as evacuations are still going on. There is still a threat of more of these heat waves increasing, and of course this is what has been prompting all these wildfires. Now, there was also another incident in Vancouver across Canada highlighting most of these heat waves, and of course more evacuation orders, more warnings coming through as we look at most of these extreme weather events related to climate change across the world. Now, it looks like a lot is being done, especially in terms of climate action, and the momentum is building, of course, as we look at COP27. But we look at some of the events that also do come in naturally. Yesterday we were covering a story about an earthquake in Indonesia, but also now we do know that there has been another development on the story on the earthquake that did happen earlier, that is across China. Now, most of the states within China that have highlighted the possibilities of earthquakes did give out warnings, but we do see the Sichuan province across China that has been having this earthquake. Now, it started earlier last week, and so far what we do know is that the death toll has risen to 93 people that have died from this earthquake. Now, there's still authorities and rescue operations going on across the area, that is in the Sichuan province of China, where they are also reporting that there could be missing people still yet to be recovered from this mass of debris, the mass of debris that were coming from these earthquake events. And of course that also, as if it's not enough, China has also been dealing with a lot of extreme weather events, especially we look at the flooding that did happen earlier at the end of last month, and also into early September. That was one that did highlight the fact that China is also going through some of the climate variations with extreme weather events. But also we're following up on some of the agreements that have been made, and of course the action towards fighting climate change. The US did sign a very, very, very important historical act that we have been looking at, and especially now that we're talking about COP27, and we saw the US President Joe Biden signing into agreement, that is the Act on Infrastructure Reduction Act, that was aiming at unlocking hundreds of billions of dollars in climate-related investments. Now, this project has actually kicked off. They are looking at jump-starting the EV clean energy projects that the president did actually promise, and that is that picture right there is showing the EV clean energy package that has been starting right across the US. And of course they are looking at more solar-powered energy across most of the cities, and of course this can be on a large scale. Now, we have seen a lot of countries in Africa that have also taken on this mantle, Morocco being one of them. They have one of the biggest solar plants in Africa. South Africa has done the same. We did see also Egypt embarking on that, and actually the solar plant for Egypt could be one of the, so far it is highlighted as one of the top 4 solar plants across the world. So meaning that we could also afford having clean energy, actually solar energy at such a large scale. And that is one way we're going to move to clean energy and avoid use of fossil fuels that is putting us at a very, very bad state when it comes to climate action, and of course talking about more of what can be done to reduce these impacts. Well, we also want to come back home here and take a look at what is happening across the country. We will be tapping in from our satellites over Uganda, and that is the UMITSAT satellite giving us real-time data. Now we're looking at a rainy system that did start on a little bit earlier across the northern parts of the country. Now that is already bringing us rains across parts of Gulu and Kitgum. That is also all the way towards the northern part of Karamoja region. Now where you see the orange to red and green colors right there, those are the rains that we're talking about, even happening right now as we speak. That system is headed towards Arua, and looks like we could also be dealing with most of those rains for northwestern Uganda this morning. Now we do have more rains that are coming through also for this morning. That is across midwestern Uganda. You look at areas of Hoima, Masindi, as well as Fort Portal. We do have that cloud over there bringing in a little bit of rains, and looks like more clouds are developing over that area, meaning that we could be looking at more of the rains for western Uganda for you this morning. Now across the central part of Uganda, we're also looking at quite a mix of clouds and sunshine, but we do have those cloudy systems moving in, and of course that system, that rainy system that is starting over Lake Victoria, that is highlighted in red, orange and green colors right there, that is the system that will be bringing us rains later as the morning progresses. We also look at the fact that it is moving westwards, so meaning that areas of Mbarara and southwestern Uganda, you could be looking at similar weather conditions in terms of rains for this morning. And of course, we're also looking at a few clouds that are developing across Mount Elgon Highlands. That is where you have Mbale, you have Bududa, Bulamburi right there. You're looking at a cloudy morning, but we also have rains that will be coming your way in the forecast that is later as the morning progresses. It looks like we could be developing a lot of rainy conditions for today. And obviously, we'll also be going ahead to look into our forecast for this morning. We will be tapping in from what is coming through from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority, and of course giving us also in terms of temperatures, what do we expect for this morning. But we do know that most of these rains actually bring temperatures down, and we could be looking at mostly low temperatures for the southern sector, as we do expect some of those rains to be coming through. Now the forecast does indicate that we could also be looking at more rains for the central parts of Lake Victoria Basin. We're looking at areas within Kampala, Mukono, Entebbe, as well as Wakiso. And of course, those are also expected to have quite cool weather. Well, starting off with the western part of Lake Victoria, also the forecast is indicating that we could be looking at those rainy conditions. We already have that system moving towards your way, and you can expect those rains starting off with a chilly 24. Now, southwestern Uganda, we are expecting a mix of clouds and sunshine later as the morning clears on, and temperatures are also going to be a little bit low at 24 degrees centigrade. Across Mount Elgon Highlands, where we have Mbale, Bududa, Buko and Tironko, we're forecasting isolated showers that will also be starting off with quite a cool 24 degrees centigrade. We do expect those rains to continue into the afternoon. Now across Tororo, Busia, Jinja, Iganga, we're looking at mostly rainy weather for you this morning, also starting off quite chilly at 25, and most of that will be later as the morning progresses. Eastern Uganda, we have those clouds that are starting to develop over there. That will be bringing in a little bit of rains over several places, also starting off with quite a pleasant 25. The eastern parts of central Ruwero, Wobulenzi, Bururi, Nakaseke, we're forecasting isolated showers. That will be starting off with a pleasant 26 degrees centigrade. Those rains will also be crossing over into the afternoon. At central parts of northern Uganda, we're already seeing those rains over the area. It looks like that system will be continuous throughout your morning and of course into the afternoon, but quite a warm day's forecast for you despite those rains. That will be at 27 degrees. Now the central parts of Lake Victoria, where we have Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso and Mukono, we're forecasting isolated showers. We already see those clouds are starting to move in. That will be bringing temperatures down at 23 degrees centigrade. Quite a cool morning for you right there. And of course, we do expect some of those rains to cross over into the afternoon. So again, this is not one of those days that you will be happy to do your laundry, because we're expecting mostly cool weather. And of course, most of those rains will be crossing over into the afternoon. So it could be another day where you have mostly rainy weather and of course cloudy weather, just a little bit of sunshine that is expected across most areas within the eastern part of the country and of course across Lake Shoga region. Otherwise the rest of the country is expected to have mostly rainy weather for much of today. Well, that is it in terms of weather for this morning. My name is Mollen, Kenyena. I want to wish you a very good day, and of course later than that we'll be having Good Morning Uganda agenda, so stick around, more is coming your way.
This is Good Morning Uganda. I remember the lockdown, when the streets were empty and our lives disrupted, when businesses closed and our livelihoods hung in the balance. Hospitals were full. We lost loved ones, jobs, and hope. Our children couldn't study anymore. We cannot let this happen again. We should not go back. Get fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and join the millions of Ugandans who are already vaccinated.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Welcome to English in a Minute. The beginning of spring means sunshine, flowers, and sneezing. Are Jonathan and Anna going to discuss how they don't have allergies? Not cool, guys.
Hey Anna, tell me how the bread baking contest went.
Jonathan, I didn't win. I should have, but I didn't.
Well, what's that trophy for?
Oh, this? I came in second.
Oh, stop. Second place is nothing to sneeze at.
It is when there are only 2 people in the contest.
The phrase nothing to sneeze at means that something is not small or unimportant. It should be taken seriously. Sneezing. And that's English in a Minute.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here. In the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's what you feel in the gentle caress of tropical wind from the mountaintops. And the glow in your heart from a warm neighborly invite. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Again, and thank you so much for being part of Good Morning Uganda. From the hour of 6:30 till now, you're with us, really appreciate. And of course, those that are joining in segment by segment, those following us on our various social media platforms, thank you so much for being part of this show now. This is a weekly show. Every day of the week, we are here from 6:30 to spice up your morning with the relevant information that you need to know as you start off your day. But also importantly, we have some light moments of cheering up your morning. Now, welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. What we do here is we look at issues of national concern with a guest or guests in studios, and you're able to be part of the topic of discussion by simply going to our various social media platforms. We have our WhatsApp number. It will be coming up shortly on the screen, where you can also send us an SMS message and be part of the topic of discussion. Our guests respond to that. I'm Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono, in case you've just joined. And this morning, I have officials from the National, Council for Higher Education, with whom we are going to be discussing more regarding enhancing the teaching, learning, and assessment with ODEL, that is Open Distance Electronic Learning. This is something that relatively COVID brought so much to people, where now it wasn't about participating in class that we were used to traditionally. You must be there in the lecture room, you must be in that classroom. Now times have changed, and actually some Ugandans were having this in some countries. A person will do a diploma, a degree, a PhD, and maybe it's the university or the institution is not even in Uganda, but they were carrying out that. However, with COVID, it was more strengthened as an alternative. And now here we are. The National Council for Higher Education is organizing actually a conference and exhibition to better promote this. Joining me on set this morning, I have Reverend Canon Dr. Alex Mugisha, Kangume, who happens to be the Deputy Executive Director of the National Council for Higher Education. Reverend Canon, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure having you this morning, and I'm sure we'll get to know more about the National Council for Higher Education. And then just immediate, I have Reverend Doctor, that is Cyrus Sebugenyi. You're most welcome.
Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure having you.
It's a pleasure being here.
I believe I'm in the presence of men of God as well, but also highly educated people that I'm hosting this morning, with whom we are going to discuss matters. I have no doubt I have the right people to discuss that topic of this morning. Now, I want to begin by understanding and helping our audience know better. When we talk about National Council for Higher Education, what's your role? What are we going to be discussing? Knowing, for them to know where you drive your mandate to fit into this topic.
Thank you so much. National Council for Higher Education is an agency under the Ministry of Education and Sports. It's a government agency established mainly to develop and also establish a governing system of higher education institutions that would enable high set standards in higher education, such that that education is able to be equated to any education given anywhere else in this country and also beyond. And also institutions which are set, but with the ability of being able to have the freedom to teach and also the academic ability to do what they can within the sphere of academic freedom and autonomy. We have a number of functions, and they are several. One is to set standards, as I say, and regulate higher education institutions. We also advise the minister on the establishment of higher education institutions. We receive consider applications from institutions of higher learning that wish to establish higher education and also do the teaching and learning. We also register all institutions of higher learning in the country. Any institution that wishes to be in the list of offering higher education, we are responsible to have it registered. We monitor and also evaluate the activities of these institutions in the teaching and also learning. We also monitor the institutions. We advise the minister on the establishment of these institutions. We also set academic standards and courses of study to ensure that they meet the minimum standards that are required. We determine the equivalence of qualification in this country, whether professional or academic. We also ensure that there are physical facilities that can be accessed by all people, including people with a disability. And we also advise government on the policy and also on the minimum standards of offering education. So our mandate is robust to ensure that the education that is given in this country is education of set standards which can be equated and also which can produce the required human resource that would be able to develop this country and take it to another level.
Well said. I'm now sure our viewer knows very well what your mandate is and what you do. But this brings me to a very interesting question, and I have the right man this morning who heads, that is recognition, standards, but also this issue of equating, equivalent. Throw more light, how does this come into the picture? Many times we've had people produce equivalency, then evaluate, more so to politicians. Just your docket, throw a bit of light on it.
Thank you so much. I think the best way to appreciate and to understand equivalences is for us to think of, of money. That you have gone to the US, you have gone to Europe, and you come back to Uganda with dollars. And you want to go to Nakasolo market to buy fruits, to buy food, do you take the dollars there? The traders in Nakasero will not understand. So what you do is you go to a Forex bureau and you are able to translate your dollars into Ugandan shillings that the trader in Nakasero will be able to understand. So even equivalence of qualification is like that. That you have obtained a qualification from elsewhere and the users here may not be in position to understand it and appreciate it. So the National Council, you bring to the National Council for an exchange using, say, an exchange rate. And National Council is able to say that your diploma, which you obtained from elsewhere, is of equivalent to a diploma in Uganda or something else. In brief, that's what equivalence of qualifications is all about. Yes.
Well said. Now, after understanding what you do, the equivalence, now help us also understand when we talk about it has been of course abbreviated to ODEL, but when we talk about that is open distance electronic learning, first start by giving us the genesis to this, because many Ugandans are not used to this way of learning. So we're going to have a little bit of the genesis to this.
You are right that traditionally the accessing higher education or even any type of education has been through a confined space of a classroom with the teacher in front, with the people seated and also ready to listen directly to the instructor, to the teacher, to the professor or to the lecturer. But with time it became very necessary that education could also be given away from the confinement, away from the classroom, away from the teacher. And that is now how the word open and distance comes in. That now a person can learn and also the teaching can take place when the teacher and the classroom is removed from the learner. That is open distance. Now, the electronic now comes in when the method you use, because you could have distance by posting printed material or by by taking material by post, because we were used to the post. So the material could be taken and dispersed and read at a distance when it is in a printed form. But then eventually with the development of the electronic technologies, now it could now be transmitted through the technology, the electronic technologies. So then you now have the three words. You have the open, the distance, and the electronic or the e-learning. In other words, the e-learning now comes in to enhance the distance, which could still take place without electronic. With the, as you mentioned at the introduction, when the pandemic came in, this system had started earlier on. Actually, National Council, we had started ODERO, which is the open distance and e-learning methodology before COVID. But we had made it very optional and open to those who could afford it and those who could do it. But when the pandemic came in, it became absolutely necessary that it had to be applied because, one, most of the institutions were closed. Actually, all institutions of higher learning were closed. And yet, we thought that education should not stop. The learning should not stop. So now we deployed all the institutions and we came up with the emergence ODEL, the emergence open, distance and e-learning, which we rolled off for 1 year so that institutions could be enabled to teach and continue the learning to take place. So that is the ODEL.
Now, Dr. Sebugeni, when you talk about ODEL, there's one thing that the Deputy ED has talked about, which is those that could have or could be able. Now, for Uganda's case, from your perspective, can we have this universally? Because there has been the issue that when we talk about ODEL, we have one in Nakapiripit, we have one in Kampala. This unfairness, injustices, sometimes people believe in our education system. Do we see this as something that we can embrace as a country? Is it a possibility? Isn't it selective? That has been the question in many people's minds.
Thank you so much. First, to begin with, to add on what my Deputy Executive Director has said, is think of Odell, we are here in the studio. And an alternative would be that we bring all the listeners in this studio at a point in this studio right now. And is that a possibility? Maybe it's a possibility, but it has a lot of issues that are surrounding with it. And so we are using electronic media. We are here, a few of us, and the whole country is able to view us. And even not right now, now it is live, but later on people are able to log on and get the message even after 10 hours, even tomorrow or the other day. Basically, in brief, that tells you the use of technology in delivering the message to us. And of course, the issue is, will everybody receive the message right now? Maybe someone is driving, maybe somebody is involved in another activity, so they are not able to log on right now, and their option is for them to be able to review a little bit later. And that's what open distance and e-learning affords, that yes, there are live lessons going on, but you also have an opportunity to review after. Yes, the issue of technology, there are still inequalities within the country, and we can appreciate what the government is doing to spread ICT infrastructure in various places, even the places where you thought technology is not reaching. You will be surprised what is happening. And after COVID, I think the government has even done a little much more. The areas which were not well covered by ICT are still are covered, and the government is still increasing the coverage. But remember, Odell is open distance and e-learning. Where the technologies are not able to reach, we still have the open distance, the option of people receiving the learning materials and use them. There is also the option of offline, that yes, when I access the network, I'm able to get the material and use them when the network is not available. So open distance e-learning affords various opportunities. And remember, we are not removing the traditional, even the traditional way of teaching and learning is there. Open distance e-learning is enhancing what we already have, so that the learner who is in Nakaperipirit is having various options, as opposed to the other option of looking for where teaching and learning is taking place. So more options are now available to the learner.
I love the fact of more options. Yes, I wanted to supplement.
Yes, you see, on a broad spectrum, electronic technology is beginning with radio. It comes the TV. It's got the video conferencing. So you can see that there are various levels of applying these electronic technologies. And you remember government made a lot of effort to promote radio coverage. And also now the TV also was also another added. You know, now we have very many TV stations at the moment in this country. So in as much as higher education has not been going that far to the radio and so on, but that is also open for other methods of teaching. For you remember, there were primary, there were a lot of lessons on the radio and also on the TV. So when we talk of electronic technologies, it's a broad spectrum. But for higher education, we have been mainly focusing on the video conferencing method, and so that this information can be recorded, can be stored, and then disseminated at a different time. And also, as he mentioned, you see, it should be flexible. It should be flexible, and such that you can take it at any time and in a place which is removed from where it was made or where it is made.
Very good initiative there. Now this brings me to the conference and exhibition. Dr. Cyrus, I know tomorrow and I think the other day this conference is going to be on. Throw more light, what is really going to happen?
The conference gives a platform to disseminate information that the stakeholders need. So this conference is going to take place, as you have said, tomorrow and the other day at the Hotel Africana. And basically, it has various stakeholders, the players in higher education, and the general public, So, and attendance, there is physical attendance and also attending virtually.
So it's a hybrid?
It's a hybrid and the physical attendance is by invitation. However, the general public is free to come in, register, say a webinar kind of, a web seminar, if you want to call it. And so people will log on. There is a link on our National Council for Education website where people can register and be able to follow the proceedings of the conference wherever there will be. So within this, the theme is enhancing the teaching and learning and assessment with Odela. So we are going to have a number of presenters presenting on the various facets of open distance and e-learn, how you can use it to teach, how you can use it to learn, how you can use it to assess. So people will get an opportunity to receive a lot of information, to receive various views from experts on open distance and e-learn. And I think it will be useful for those who have questions. We shall have question and answer sessions where people will ask questions and they will receive answers to those questions. I think it will be a very, very useful conference for higher education, but also for the general public as well.
Well, this brings me to understand, what are you intending to achieve? Because yes, Dr. Cyrus, you've really explained people do this, but what is the intention? What are you looking at such a time? You know, one would say maybe we are still a bit of rolling this out, but also maybe issues of technology. So what is the major intention? Why have you come and set up this conference, organize this conference and exhibition at such a point of time?
You know, a conference by nature is a meeting of people to consider a common task or a matter of common interest. And so this is a very high level matter of common interest. This ordeal in teaching and learning is a matter of high interest. And actually, the minister herself, Honorable Janet Kaguta Museveni, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, is the chief guest and the guest of honor. So it's high level. And so the institutions are coming together to discuss, to confer, and find a method of enhancing the teaching and learning using Odeo. And as we say, since it is an emerging method of disseminating information and teaching and learning, it's important that different stakeholders come together and consider how they can take the best advantage of it.
Well, I just remind you, our viewers will be broadcasting live. That is the swearing in of the President-elect of the Republic of Kenya, which is today. That is William Ruto. And looking at your screen, yes, there is some live updates of what is happening there. And of course, footage for you there. That is exactly what's happening right now at the stadium where the function is going to take place. So you can keep with us. We'll be getting you to Kenya and Nairobi to give you that coverage anytime now. But we are still discussing, that is open distance learning. And of course, there is a conference and an exhibition that will be taking place starting from tomorrow. Now, also let's look at who are the players or who are the participants in this. Yes, you've well told us participation is by invitation. We know that chief guest is going to be there. But who are the stakeholders that have come together at this particular high-level conference? And then also the exhibition, because there are two things here. We have a conference and an exhibition.
Yeah, let me just talk about the exhibition first, because we have not talked about it before. That the exhibition, you have high education players coming to exhibit, to showcase what they have. And so with the exhibition, you have the people who are exhibiting, and you have the people who come to consume or to see what the other people are exhibiting. And they are mainly the people who are coming to benefit from what other people are exhibiting are mainly the students. the students, especially from secondary school, would want to come and see what higher education institutions that we have in Uganda, what programs do we have in Uganda. So mainly senior 4 and senior 6 students, but also students from higher education. And the exhibitors are mainly higher education institutions. And when I talk about higher education institutions, I mean universities, I mean tertiary institutions, but there are also institutions which are called other degree awarding institutions. So when people come, they'll be able to get all of these institutions in one place and be able to ask questions, and see what they're offering. Even the issues of Odell, they can go to various institutions and ask them about specific questions about Odell. It's very, 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 very important. But of course, National Council is going to be there, Minister of Education is going to be there, and even other key players. Now, getting to the conference is that, as I say, the conference is which is starting tomorrow for 2 days. And by the way, the exhibition is coming the other week, 22nd, 23rd, and the 24th. 24th at Woman. The conference taking place at Hotel Africana. And as I said, the conference is going to bring experts. If you are going to talk about medicine issues to do with health, you are not going to bring me because I'm not an expert in health. So the conference is going to bring together experts in health, in open distance and e-learning. And these experts are going to make a presentation. They are going to present what I call expert knowledge, expert discourses on open distance and e-learning. And then there will be other experts who will bring in, who will freshen it up with discussion so that we get a good perspective. And let me also add into the first question that you raised. Why is open distance at such a time like this? Because the issue is that COVID, you remember when we got COVID and the lockdowns, what happened that we got a standstill. Many of our institutions were not prepared for it. And so there was fidgeting at that moment. And through the emergence open and distance, emergence order, a number of institutions got some lifeline and they operated somehow. But we see that when we opened up, when the government opened up, a number of institutions, instead of continuing the open distance and e-learning, they have instead put it aside and gone back to the other method, traditional method. I don't know whether you have seen for the last 1 year, this year, any radio or TV where children are being taught. Yet, we could have continued with both. So we want to tell the public, we want to tell the players that open distance and e-learning is not a thing for only the lockdown. It's something that we can use even when life is normal and going on as usual. So we want to give it its platform so that people get aware of it, encouraging higher education institutions to embrace it so that it's part of the teaching, the daily teaching, learning and assessment.
Well, that brings me to ask, how have Ugandans perceived, welcomed e-learning? Because we know they could adopt something because it is the solution of the current problem. But do we see these schools, learning institutions really embracing this wholeheartedly, finding it as a solution, something that they should focus on? Because I was speaking to someone who owns a school I may not mention, told me, you know, if I'm going to purchase computers, maybe I'm going to have more stuff, maybe I'm going to have this. At the end of this, an additional cost. And they seemed, and some feel, well, that mindset change. Many think effective teaching, we may not get the best compared to what we get when there's a physical presence of a teacher in class. So, Deputy ED, what has been your assessment of what we are pushing for as not only a solution to some problems, but also a way of doing things?
You see, that's why we bring it to the center of our discussion in higher education. And that's why we are conferring on it and bring it to conference. And that's why we are having it high level in terms of engagement. As I mentioned, to the extent that our Minister Honorable Janet Kataha Museveni, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, has accepted to be our chief guest. So we are bringing it to discussion, and that also informs the challenge you are talking about. Any new thing is bound to meet challenges. One, you start with attitude, which is not a big deal. That one you can sanitize and remove it. But also, you come with the equipment, as you mentioned, and which also may be lacking, and then the investment, which also may be required. So all these, they take time to eliminate and also to solve. You even have the method itself is challenging, because in terms of concentration, it's difficult. Sometimes you may not know what the student is doing on the computer. You may think he's studying when he's on a video game and so on. Even the idea of communication and distance, the idea of feedback. So the challenges are many, it's true, regardless of where you're standing from. But the point we are making is that this is the way to go in terms of enhancing teaching and learning in this country, so that we can augment our old method. And we are saying it should not be exclusive. It should be branded. The classroom will remain, the teacher will remain, the sitting in class will remain, but we also now find that there should be another alternative. And also when it comes to adult learners, who may, you and I, who may not be able to leave work and go to study, that's an opportunity really to bring in the adult learners on their own sphere. So I hear you. The response could have been some negative from some institutions, but I can assure you that this is what you get when you are beginning any new thing.
Well, thank you so much. Now, in the interest of time, let me have your parting shot, beginning with Dr. Cyrus.
I wanted to inform the general public, but in particular the players in higher education, that Odell is the way to go. We cannot disregard it. Technology is evolving very, very fast. And so every institution needs to put in place mechanisms to embrace open distance and e-learning. Technologies are here with us, and they are here to support us carry on our businesses. But also on the side of the parents, I know especially the negativity, the attitude comes in with whether our children are up to speed with the new technologies. I think these days there is a term they call digital parenting. I think parents cannot leave the children aside, but they need to get involved with them, counsel them, and support them, provide them with the necessary technologies, but also discipline them and caution them and watch over them so that they are able to use the technologies responsibly. But also to call upon the general public and all those to tune in to our conference that is starting tomorrow. Also to call upon the students, call upon the school administrators to release the students next week, starting on Thursday, to be able to come for our exhibition, because there is a lot that they're going to learn from there. I thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Deputy Edie, let me have your final remark.
Yeah, to assure the public that the National Council, by adopting and promoting Odell, we are not watering down higher education standards. We would like to appeal to each one of us to ensure that we uphold the high standards in higher education, and for parents and also for learners, ensure that you look for accredited institutions of higher learning in this country. And if you are in doubt, please, National Council for Higher Education is open. At the website, you go and look at the institutions which have been accredited. And also you can even contact us by any method that you can, by phone or by writing, so that you are sure that the institution you are joining is accredited. And even the program that you are following is also accredited. I also want to appeal to institutions or to all stakeholders who want to contribute to higher education to ensure that your contribution should be within the guidelines of National Council standards, so that what you offer is acceptable to the nation and also to the world in higher education. I thank you so much.
Well, I want to thank you so much, gentlemen. That is Reverend Canon Dr. Alex Mugisha Kangume happens to be the Deputy Executive Director, National Council for Higher Education. Thank you so much for your time. And also Reverend Dr. Cyrus Sebugenyi, who heads standards, that is recognition and equating of qualifications. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, our viewer, thank you so much for being with us from the hour of 6:30 till now. Well, like I told you, we'll be giving you updates of what is happening in Kenya as we are seeing the 5th president of Kenya being sworn in today. That is William Ruto, and full coverage, you can count on us. I'll leave room for Ruben to take you through sports updates. Keep it with us on UBC TV.
As Kenya's 5th president.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show. Because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Oh, they look nice.
Thank you, honey.